Megan, and this is Good News Knits. This is a podcast where we can talk all about knitting and the good news of the gospel. So, welcome or welcome back. I have a really exciting episode for today. It's going to be more of a traditional knitting podcast. So, finished objects, WIPs, I got a lot of them, and then acquisitions at the end. But before we get into that, I really feel like I want to talk about my Bible study for this week. So, let me set my hot chocolate down. Um, I have been reading through the book of Job, and I just finished through chapter 6 this morning. So I'm going through it pretty slow, but it's so rich. It's so good. This book, the book of Job, has quickly become my favorite book of the Bible so far. I'll go into that in just a minute. But before, I just wanted to give a quick, little shout out to the Bible that I use. This is an NIV. It's a really great translation. It's so readable. The language is really good, and I've had a couple other translations before, and they were fine. But this is the best one for me. So you might be that way too. This is the NIV Journal the Word Bible. And it's got it's a wider Bible, so it's got space on the side for notes if you want to take notes. I added the tabs, so you may or may not want those. But yeah, this is a really great Bible. So if you're looking for one, I've linked it down below. It's pretty inexpensive. I got it off of Amazon. So yeah. All right, so the book of Job. If you're not familiar with the book of Job, um, Job is a man who is described as being blameless by God. He's blameless, he's righteous, is obedient and faithful to God. So he's done nothing wrong in his life, really. And it's important that that is laid out at the beginning of the book of Job because God allows Satan to test Job. So he says, surely you can test him, you cannot take his life. So Satan starts Sataning, and he quickly basically destroys Job's life. So he wipes out his complete massive farm, his livestock, his livelihood, and then he wipes out his children. So Job is a completely broken man. I mean, his life has been totally disassembled. And you would think that if you're in that place in your life and your friends come to visit you, that they're going to show you compassion and they're going to show you comfort. And after that part in the book where you find out that Job has been left a completely broken man, his friends come to visit him. And one of his friends, Eliphaz, approaches him and he speaks to him. And I'm just going to read straight from my Bible so I can tell you what he says. So Eliphaz says, this is chapter 4, starting at verse 7. Consider now who, being innocent, has ever perished. Where were the upright ever destroyed? As I have observed, those who plow evil and those who sow trouble reap it. At the breath of God they perish. At the blast of his anger they are no more. I mean, can you imagine being at your lowest point in life and your friend comes up and says, "Are you sure you didn't do anything wrong? God only punishes people if they've done something wrong. There is no such thing as righteous suffering. You've clearly had a moral failing in your life to incur the wrath of God." And first of all, that's totally kicking somebody when they're down. And second of all, that's totally wrong theology. I mean, just because you are suffering in life, first of all, we know in this story that the evil that has occurred in Job's life is because of Satan. And I know that God will work it for good, but um, Eliphaz is clearly implying that this is a punishment from God on you, and you need to reevaluate your life and figure out what you did and repent for it. So not only is he just being a bad friend, he's not even being a theologically sound friend. I mean, he's coming at him and basically coming with this logic that there's no such thing as a divine there's no such thing as a righteous suffering. If that was the case, then we would have no Christ. There would be no point of having a Christ. So we know that Jesus died for our sins. Jesus came the perfect, lived the perfect life, died the perfect death, incurred the wrath of God for our sins, and completely suffered righteously. So, this, like, you know, Eliphaz's logic here is not only wrong, but I mean, to be coming to your friend when they're at their lowest point in life and telling them, hey, like, you probably did something to deserve this. I mean, that's just awful. So then we go on to read, and I'm going to move ahead to chapter 6 now. This is Job's reply. So Eliphaz just kind of, went on this bender about you need to basically look at yourself in the mirror, and bad things don't just happen to good people. And Job, Job is just like in the pits of grief right now. And I'm just going to start verse 2, chapter 6. He says, if only my anguish could be weighed and all my misery be placed on the scales, it would surely outweigh the sand of the seas. Um, basically saying my grief is immeasurable. Going down to verse 8. Oh, that I might have my request, that God would grant what I hope for, that God would be willing to crush me, to let loose his hand and cut off my life. Then I would still have this consolation, my joy in unrelenting pain, that I had not denied the words of the Holy One. And I'm going to try not to cry too much when I talk about this, but um, I know exactly what this feels like. When I read chapter 6 of Job, I've never related to a person in the Bible more. I have literally said these words where I'm not going to take my own life, but God, would you take it for me? I do not want to wake up tomorrow morning. I've experienced grief like that, and I have said those actual words. And number one, boy, am I glad I did not get what I asked for, because I can really see how God has worked my life for good. And when you're in the pits of it, you can't see that. But I think this just goes to show that Job is experiencing the worst pain of his life, and what is most important to him is that I had not denied the words of the Holy One. He is not going to um, call out this as an act of God. He is not saying that my God did this to me, and righteously so. What a man of faith, you know. And while I haven't, obviously finished the book of Job, I feel like this just is such a noble way to teach us to behave. And I know I've heard before that Christians grieve differently, and it does make me wonder. When I went through deep grief in my life, what would that look like? I was an atheist then, and what would that have looked like? Because clearly grief still feels the same. I felt the exact same. I felt grief the exact same way that Job feels it, as far as like the depth of the pain. But Job is still saying, I am faithful to the Lord in my pain. He is still finding joy in his faithfulness to the Lord. And I just, I can only imagine what that would be like to be, years ago back in my situation, and to wonder what it would be like to have that feeling, that comfort, or that peace from the Lord, at the same time experiencing a very deep and real and awful grief. Um, I'm learning so much. I'm processing so much. This book has been really therapeutic for me. So yeah, if you haven't read Job, if it's been a while, maybe this is like your sign to revisit it. So yeah, I know God works all things for good. Things that were intended for bad from Satan, he works them for good. And I know that I've made it through my horrible struggles, and I'm here today by the grace of God, on the other side of that, the the pits of that grief and that despair. And I'm looking so forward to reading the rest of Job. And I'm sure I'll have more to share as I get through it. But But yeah, I mean, what what a blessing it is to have the book of Job preserved in the Bible for me to read thousands of years later. I mean, I just that's such a gift. That's that this book has been such a blessing to me. And yeah, and if I can encourage anybody to read it, you won't be wasting your time. So yeah, all right. Well, um, yeah, I mean, deep stuff, but still, like, so much joy can come on the other end of things, on the other side of the rainbow. And yeah, I'm grateful for you all to be here and to let me share that. And yeah, let's move on to some lighthearted knitting. So yeah, I don't have any finished objects for you guys. I have a massive WIP parade though, so let's get started. All right. I'm just gonna kind of go off the top of my. Oh, first let me get a drink of my hot chocolate. I'm gonna just start off the top of my WIP pile here. Okay. I have the Malibu Shawl by Isabel Kramer. Um, this is on my Make 9. So if you watched my last video, you'll kind of see that I had plans for this. And I've cast it on. I'm not very far. So this is a shawl in a slip stitch pattern. Let me just see if I can get it a little straightened out. So you can kind of see some of the slip stitch pattern there. Really cool. This is a pattern by Isabel Kramer. And I am using, let me see if I have a ball band. No, I'm using Emyak Tibetan Fibers Baby Camel. This is the color Anthracite, and this is the color Thar. I'm just holding each of them singly. And I cast this on I think I cast this on New Year's Day, or shortly around there. But yeah, this is I have several shawls like planned for this year, but this was one of the ones I was most looking forward to. The pattern is pretty easy. I don't have it memorized because I've been working on it like really sporadically. Um, so I do have to I have the instructions printed out, so I do have to reference those while I read it. So that's kind of why it's been going a little bit slow. Um, I I do have plans to work on it like slowly. This was my first time doing a garter tab cast on. I think a lot of shawls start that way, from my understanding, and it did not make a ton of sense to me when I read the instructions. Like, I was able to get through it, but it looked kind of weird. And then the second time, because I actually frogged it and had to start over, the second time I did it, I actually went back and watched an Andrea Mowry video, and she has a really great tutorial for the garter tab cast on. So if you need that, I recommend that. You can just find it on YouTube. You could probably search garter tab cast on. Yeah, so this is really cool. I think this yarn is going to be really nice and soft when it blocks out. It's got a lot of hairs in here, but yeah, I've never used camel. It feels really cool to work with. Yeah, so this will be my first shawl of the year if I get it done first. I have another shawl in my WIP pile over here, so we'll see which one gets done first. But yeah, that's my Malibu shawl by Isabel Kramer, my little honest beginning. Yeah, oh, I don't know if I told you what size needles I'm knitting this on. These are 4. There's my 4s. Okay, so 4 millimeter needles. We're getting after it. Excited to have that. Okay, all right. Next is, all right. Actually, I'll just go right into my next shawl. This shawl has actually been on the needles since 2025. I cast this on at the end of 2025, and then I kind of shelved it because working on it was kind of hurting my hands, and I don't know why, because it's not a particularly, unusual gauge. This is the Vertices Unite shawl by Stephen West. And that's what I got so far. So this big, like rust and kind of beige colored, cream colored section is like section 1. Then I did this section 2 here, and then now I'm on section 3 in the green. And so this section you'll pick up all the rest of these stitches on this bottom striped section here. And it'll be kind of like a big green, I think it's like a rectangular shape. Yeah, so this is I'm using Knitting for Olive Merino. It's fingering weight, and I'm holding each color singly. So it is a little bit harder on my hands, I think. I mean, I knit socks a lot, and that doesn't bother me, but for some reason, these are 3.5 millimeter needles. But for some reason, when I really like knit on this for a long time, my hands get sore. So yeah, I kind of have to work on this in sections. So I sort of took probably like a month-long break on it, but I really want it. I'm really inspired to finish it. I was heavily inspired by a version of this that I saw on Ravelry, and I tried to kind of copy all the colors that she had. I did have a few of them already in stash, so that was really cool. I only had to buy, I think, two colors, and there's, I think, five different colors that I'll be using for this shawl. This is the Dusty Sea Green. Um, the the like beige color with this blue. The beige is trench coat. The blue is, I think it's Dusty Petroleum. I'm not 100%. I'll put it on the screen. And then down here is copper. And then the lighter color is, I think it's pearl gray. Again, I'll put it on the screen just to be sure, but it's kind of hard to see when they're like striped up like that. This is going to be a very big shawl. I'm knitting the large size. I know he has, I think, at least two sizes and then maybe like a swatch, like a mini shawl swatch. But I think this is going to be so pretty. I mean, I've never had a shawl before, and when I saw this, I'm like, am I like a shawl girl? I'm a shawl girl. I can't wait to have this. I think it's going to be so nice. So I'm highly motivated to finish this despite the hand pain. Um, yeah, so I will keep trucking on that. I'm hoping to finish the green section in like the next week or so, to maybe get this finished in maybe a month. I feel like that would be a somewhat reasonable time frame. I don't know, I have a lot of projects I want to get finished in a month, so we'll see. Okay, moving on. I'm calling this my Valentine's Day sweater. Um, my friend and I were talking, and I told her I had some red yarn, and I was like, I think it'd be really fun to do a Valentine sweater. And she was like, oh my gosh, I have yarn that would make a perfect Valentine sweater too. So we decided to cast these on. I am probably not going to finish this by Valentine's Day. I mean, I would love to, but that would take that would take a lot of effort. And as you'll see, I have several things cooking, so anyway, all right, enough fanfare here. This is the Monday sweater by Petite Knit in this gorgeous pop of red. I'm using Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair in the colorways Red Currant. So this will be my third Monday, and I love the Monday pattern. I think it's such a good staple. I did do a couple really small modifications. I made the collar a little bit chunkier. So I can't remember how many rounds she does in the pattern, but I did maybe two more. And then I did do the rounds of double knitting that are in the pattern. And then it's a double folded collar. I just, you fold it over, you sew it down, or you knit two together. And then for the raglans, the pattern calls for a 3-stitch raglan, and I bumped it up to a 4. So I don't know if you can really see. Nothing too crazy, but I just felt like with making the collar like a little chunkier, it might be cute to have like a little bit of a chunkier raglan. Um, yeah, like a little more statement-y. Like this color is so bright and fun that I just felt like this could be a really great like staple raglan, kind of stand out. So yeah, this is kind of like my pop of color project. Working on this is so fun. Looking at this bright red is just a total joy. So yeah, I'm still working on the raglan increases. I'm hoping to get those done, in the next couple weeks. But I know knitting the sweater does usually take me a little while. So I'm knitting it on 4 millimeter needles. I'm knitting the size small, which is traditionally what I knit in this pattern. And my row gauge is usually a little bit off. So I do usually have to do some extra increases um, before I split for sleeves. So I'm sure I'll probably have to do that again, but we'll see. So yeah, that's my Monday sweater by Petite Knit. We'll be so excited to have this. All right. Next is a saga. This pair of socks is cursed. I rebuke the spirit that has been attached to these socks. In the name of Jesus Christ, I'm rebuking it. Like, these socks have just been totally cursed. And when you hear the horrible stories, like, you're going to know what I mean. Okay. So, this is a series of patterns that I have started and frogged and started and frogged. But let's start off with the yarn. So this yarn is really, really pretty. I don't have the main, or I don't have the mini skein that came with it, but here's the main color. This is Farmer's Daughter Fiber, and then this is the contrast color that came with it, that light color. I'll put what the sock set, the name of the sock set is on the screen. I don't have it. This is the December 2025 colorway, I think. Was it December? Yeah, because I have the January colorway. Okay, this was the December colorway. So this was the first. I signed up for Sock Squad 2025 in November, which meant I would get the December colorway, and then I did sign up for 2026. So this was the only colorway that I got last year, or the only sock set that I got last year. And I was so excited when I saw this color. I immediately saw, these two, these two colors here. I immediately saw the quilty cabin socks. I was like, that's going to be my quilty cabin socks. It's going to be my first color work sock, and they're going to be so cute. Well, I knit them and frogged them and knit them and frogged them. I could not get my attention right on the color work. It was like kind of puckery, and then some of my stitches would look really big and some were tight. I'll put in some pictures. And I got nearly all the way done with one sock, and I blocked it to see if it would like smooth out the color work and kind of even out the stitches. And while it did help, it was not enough to make it like not like give me the eye twitch, like bother me. It still looked kind of like lumpy and not great. And then also, I don't know if it's just me, but like then when I would put the socks on and like the fabric would stretch, I could see like the white floats underneath of like the dark main color. So I don't know, that was driving me nuts. So then after that, I ripped that sock out and I like rewound the yarn, and then I cast on the surf wax socks that are in this book by Summer Lee, The Sock Project. This is a great book. There's a ton of really cute socks in here. Actually, these right here, these white ones with the yellow stripes, this is the surf wax pattern. So I actually had almost again the entire sock done. And this time I thought, instead of doing like my traditional heel flap, heel turn and gusset, I'm going to try to do a forethought heel. So I'll put some pictures in, but I put in my like little lifeline so that I could pick up my stitches before or above and below for the forethought heel. And I knit down a lot of the instep and I went back in to put the heel in. And I don't know where I went wrong, but I had like these super big holes on the side. And then when I tried it on before I like closed it up, because it's basically like a toe, like you're knitting a toe on the heel. And I couldn't like fit most of my heel in it. And I was like, I'm getting close to like closing this thing up. Where am I going to put the rest of my foot? And I just knew like there was no point in like trying to amend that. At that point, I was kind of sick of knitting that pattern. I like to knit socks because they're fun and they're fast and I don't have to think about it. I don't want to be looking at a pattern all the time. That's just my personality. So I ripped it out and cast on. We're not done yet. I cast on what I thought would be like a vanilla sock. So first, when I ripped out the sock, this one is, and I'm not knitting these two at a time, I'm just knitting them, together on separate needles. So forgive this sock, it looks real ratty because this is the frogged yarn that's been frogged like 10 times. Anyway, so I ripped back and I kept my cuff from the surf wax socks because I thought, okay, I'll just do the same thing. Like I'll keep the cuff and I'll knit a vanilla sock the rest of the way down. So I, knit down for a ways and then I cast on the second sock. And I didn't think I needed to look at the pattern. I thought, I know what it is. I know the type of cuff that I did, and I didn't. I don't know if you can tell. Those are two totally different ribbing patterns. This is 2 by 1. This is 2 by 2. We're not worried about it. We're we're gonna keep going. We don't care. We don't care. We want these socks done, and we don't want to look at them for a long time. So I have both of the heel flaps and the heel turns done on these. So I mean, I don't have that much farther to go. I still love the color. I still think from like far away, especially when I block this one looks crazy. And then when I block this one and like maybe I can pin, I don't could we get away with maybe they're identical? That's the goal. But I don't care enough to fix it. So yeah, I would love to have these done. My make nine was to like possibly knit a pair of socks every month, and yeah, I would love to get these done and be able to have another socks to wear while it's winter. So yeah, that's the story of my cursed socks that I think are going to be redeemed. I think they're going to be redeemed, and yeah. So we'll get those done. Basic vanilla sock. Um, I did do, I will say, a garter stitch heel flap. That's just what I like doing. It's easy, it's mindless. Again, like that's the thing I like about socks that I'm realizing. I don't want to do, I love the look of beautiful like lace and cabled socks. I don't want to knit them. I want to pick up socks and not pay attention and just like buzz through them and have a cute pair. Maybe that will change in the future, but as of right now, vanilla's our girl. So yeah, okay. And then the last WIP that I have is a sweater, another sweater. This is my storm sweater by Petite Knit. So I'm using knitting for olive, merino, and soft silk mohair, and I've got one sleeve done. And then I've got the body on hold, and I've picked up the second sleeve, and I've got, gosh, maybe half of it done. So I'm really close. We've got the collar. Um, Yeah, this was also I talked, briefly about this on my Make Nine, but this was like the number one thing that I wanted to get done first. This was my Christmas Day cast on. So I already had the yarn in stash. I've been wanting to make this pattern for a really long time. So I did. I'm knitting the size small, I believe. Um, I'm using 4 millimeter needles, and it's going great. What a fun potato chippy pattern. I mean, I was kind of worried because I mean, as you probably heard me lament in my last WIP, I don't like care to look at charts or, be having to like hyper focus on something when I'm knitting on something. I'm okay if I have to like glance at a chart and then I can keep going, but I don't really want to, have to worry like stitch for stitch. That's exactly what this is. It is like you can glance and you don't even a lot of times you don't even need the chart. I mean, you can see where the pattern is going. And it's so easy. I mean, all knits and purls, super high impact, beautiful detail. It has that like kind of Gansy vibe. I did do one little modification. The only thing I have changed is this texture section here, with these kind of slanted columns. I knit this a tiny bit longer than the pattern said, only because when I finished the repeats, I don't know if maybe I just was off in my where I was in the pattern, but it was like looking a little short. Like it almost looked like weirdly disproportionate. And so I knit it a little bit longer, and maybe it's a little long, but I have long arms anyway, so I did not want to have to add in another repeat. I wanted to keep the pattern, keep it as is in the pattern. So I thought if I just knit one of these a little bit longer, I think I'll be good. So, I mean, I think these sleeves are going to be plenty long enough anyway. But yeah, it's a drop shoulder. So here's the back with these nice, like little pearl ridge details. Um, yeah, I mean, this is just going to be such a beautiful sweater in this nice gray color. And I love a mohair. So yeah, I can't wait to have this done. I'm gonna try to get the sleeve done this week. Over the weekend, we've got like a snowstorm here, and it's the perfect time to just do some cozy knitting and get a sweater sleeve done. So yeah, I mean, That's all that I've got WIP wise. This is the last one. And I am so pumped to get this sweater done. I mean, I don't even, I don't think I have a gray sweater. I think I've knit like some cream and some beige, but a nice, like classic light gray sweater is going to be so perfect. Okay. So acquisitions, I only have one. I do have some yarn ordered for some Make 9 projects, but it hasn't come in yet. So I do have what I kind of briefly mentioned before is my January 2026 Farmer's Daughter Fiber Sock Squad set. Um, this is the colorway Deep Winter. So the set is Deep Winter and it's in their Highwood sock base. This is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and it's got a 20-gram, 80-yard mini here. And these colors are really pretty. And I'm going to be honest, these are not colors that I would like typically go for. Really, honestly, both of these are not colors that I would like. If I saw them online, I probably wouldn't order it or in person. But it's like knowing that I'm getting a surprise colorway and I have to use it is really exciting because I do tend to gravitate toward neutral colors, but I feel like in socks, that is such a great place to like be fun because if you don't like the color, you're going to wear it under something and it's fine. But I actually like these colors. I think that they're really pretty. They're just not typical of me. I've seen this colorway knit up in the Discord group. There's so many people that have knit so many beautiful sock sets out of these. So I've already kind of seen the spoilers of it knit up and it's just beautiful. I cannot wait to knit these up. So once I finished my cursed sock set, I can cast these on. So maybe um yeah, maybe I think February might be a red colorway. So I don't know if I'll knit these. I might save these for a different month and then cast on a red pair for February. That might be fun to like be knitting on my red sweater and then knitting on a red pair of socks. You know, just be uber festive. Um, so yeah, so these come with. I signed up for the 2026 Sock Squad early, and so that meant that I got like this little sock journal. And the theme of the year is exploration of color and exploration of color. And so each of the, so it starts out, the first page is like the yarns, and then it tells you about the bases, which I think is really cool because they're not all the same. They have their different blends. Like there's an 80% superwash blue face Leicester wool with a nylon. There's a 19.5 micron superwash merino, and then there's the superwash merino. So I think just trying the different bases will be really fun. And then as you kind of get further in, I don't want to like spoil the colorways if somebody's not. This is January though, so it's okay. I feel fine sharing this. This is the blue January, but it comes with like a little calendar, and then you can kind of like check off the days, and then you can write like little pattern notes. Obviously, I'm terrible at doing that, and I haven't done it, but maybe I'll go in and fill in afterwards. Um, like after I knit a pair of socks, or I don't know. I haven't cast them on yet, so I suppose I could do that. But yeah, so it actually has little spoilers for the rest of the colors, like each of the months. So you don't know exactly what the yarn's going to be. You don't know what the main or the mini is going to look like, but you do see the color theme and kind of like the little mood board. Uh, so yeah, I think this is so cool. I'm so happy that I got this, and I'm excited to try all of these wonderful new colors. So yeah, that wraps up this podcast episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, put them down below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time. So happy knitting and God bless. Bye.